Welcome to RIT Talk. A while back, we decided we wanted to do something that would benefit and help the firefighters within our community. We weren't exactly sure what to do. We held a Zoom meeting, gathered some ideas, and we decided one way that we could help was to create more awareness about mental health. And one way of doing that is to talk about it. And that is where RIT Talk comes in. We're going to talk and talk some more. Not really sure where this is going to go, but we promise we're going to keep talking. Have a great day, don't quit, and keep pushing forward.
All right. We are talking with Brad Gray. And I asked Brad to come on and talk with us and see how he handles adversity. And you could tell us a little bit about yourself if you want.
Oh, you already said my name. Let's see. I have been in this game since 1995.
A long time, Brad.
My original cert date was in 94, but I was still in high school. So I didn't really work until out of high school.
Okay.
I did 5 years on an ambulance in LA where I grew up, and then I've pretty much been here since 1999.
A long time.
So it is a long time. I'm 2 years, so I'm at 28 years total in the fire and EMS service. So, and I've been a medic for 16 of those years. So been a long time. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So, and yeah, it's been a long journey. Seen lots of things, dealt with lots of things. So yeah, it's nuts. So back to the topic at hand though. How do I deal with adversity? It's a great question. I don't really have I don't know if I have a good answer.
No, everybody's different, so it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but
it depends on what it is. Sometimes I'll talk about it with you guys. Sometimes I talk about it with my wife, and sometimes I clam up and I just deal with it my own way. And I don't, like, for example, I have like I didn't get to be there to say goodbye to my stepmom, and that bothered me when she passed away. It just, because I wasn't there for my dad, I wasn't there for her. That was something that was, I mean, I don't know if you want to consider that adversity, but it just sucked. And then I wasn't there to say goodbye to my grandpa, even though we knew he was passing away. I didn't get a chance to make it back up there. But one of the ways I kind of, like when my grandpa passed away, I kind of just went off and went by myself. Funny, but the funny part about it was that I went and hung out with my goats, and and I was just sitting on a spool in the middle of the goat pen, and like one of the goats just came up and rested her little goat head on my shoulder and whatnot, and it kind of made me feel a little bit better. And then another way I've learned to deal with some adversity is just to fall back on my faith. And not to try to get too churchy or preachy or whatever, but I try to, not always successful at it, but I try to look to God and the scriptures and things like that. But she's noisy. I don't know if you can hear that. Sorry. My wife is rinsing the windows. But yeah, back in the day, back when I was younger, I used to just clam things up until I hit a boiling point. And my boiling point was something that nobody ever wanted me to see, or wanted to see, I should say.
Yeah.
Like I would put my fist through walls or want to put my hand through a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Not the most productive or best way to go about that. But now it's, I try to find different outlets. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just try to deal with it myself, which is probably not the healthiest way either. But yeah, it can suck sometimes because my wife wants me to try to, there's some things I know I can't fix. And talking to my wife just goes, well, you need to do this. It's not going to work though. I know the game. and you know, that's pretty much it. That's how I would deal with it. And that's how I currently deal with it. So like I said, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Oh, hey, that's you, man. And what would you say, or because you said when you were younger, I was going to ask that, how you dealt with it and you clammed up and all that. What were some of the things that helped you change over into the way you are now? What, some of the things you did, I'm whatever.
Well, one was getting out of a horrible relationship, as you know.
Okay.
That was part of my adversity that I was dealing with, was a real toxic relationship. And but oh gosh, I think it was just trying to figure out ways to talk about it without not necessarily coming off vulnerable, but like I just needed to talk to somebody without, I wasn't really necessarily looking for an answer.
Okay.
But sometimes just venting.
All right.
I do that a lot. Like sometimes I'll call my mom and I'll be like, what in the crap, yo? Like, this is retarded. What is wrong with people? Or I'll do that with my wife, or sometimes I do that to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're
sometimes
good at that.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like, I'll be like, look, I don't need you to fix it. I just need to get it off my chest.
Yeah. All right.
That's the main thing. I'm not looking, a lot of times people want to try to, we as guys and as fathers and husbands, we are fixers. And sometimes it's not about fixing anything. It's just about getting it off your chest. And
okay.
That's usually sometimes what I need. And then there's times where I have a real genuine issue and I'm not a political person. I try to be diplomatic, but I'm kind of blunt when I get to that point, and I don't give a crap what you think. And sometimes that's the adversity that I have, because I'm not going to hold something back. I mean, I will respect, positions and ranking and age and things like that. But at the same time, I'm not going to sugarcoat crap, because I don't like people sugarcoating crap for me. tell me straight up, face to face, man to man, person to person, and and go on. But yeah, like sometimes, like I said, I'm just there to vent. I just need to vent it. I need to get it off, not necessarily need an answer on how to deal with the problem.
Fair enough. What would you say? Because you said in your younger days, you would want to punch, through a wall. And what do you feel were some of the reasons why you clammed up when you were younger? Not that you're old now, but
I'm old now. It's okay. Because I didn't have the people really to talk to about it. I didn't, we started in this. Well, I started in this field back when I had, back when if you showed that kind of vulnerability, it was kind of frowned upon. It was, firefighting and EMS and, watching people die in front of you and all that. It was like, you had to deal with it. There was PTSD was around, but it wasn't anything that was at the forefront like it is now.
Yeah.
Within the military and the police service and the fire service. So, you see these crappy things and it's like, you just deal with it. You don't say anything to anybody, or you show, when you're young and you're new, you show a lot of excitement, which people then think that you're nuts. And
I think you have to be a little nuts to.
Well, we already have to be a little off to be doing this job because of the nature of it. But I mean,
I know what you mean.
There's some things I couldn't go to my family and go, hey, I just saw this dude get shot, or I saw, I almost got, like, I had a patient come at me, or, I lost a patient for whatever reason, or, and when I say lost, not just die, but literally I had a patient one time run away from me. And because he was a psych, but I've also been threatened by patients. I've been, but I mean, I don't want to bring some of that stuff home because I don't want to worry my family.
Yeah.
And so, but, yeah. And then, growing up, I mean, I didn't, like, my home life was great. There's just some things that I was exposed to as a kid and that like, I don't think my mom knew. Well, my mom knew some of it, but she didn't know until recently. Like, that also is things that I just held in for a long time. And it's just now, like, I don't do well with those things that now, like, I don't tolerate them. And it bothers me to this day, but I talk about it now. And so I get it off my chest and things like that. So
yeah, I think,
like I said, the biggest thing is just talking.
I think along that lines with me is that stuff that happened, when I was growing up, and it, how they say your stress bucket or whatever is, full, and then you add on the EMS and then adult life. And if you don't empty it and so on, it just becomes worse. So yeah, that makes sense with some of the things that happen before EMS. Because before I was doing all this, I would think it's just EMS, or it's whatever you're doing, it's just that, and it's not. I mean, it's everything in life, because adult life is adult life.
Right. Adult life is what it is, and then being exposed to the things that we were exposed to as kids is just that's just the foundation on top of everything else. and it's basically moving out of that house and into a new house with a better foundation.
Yeah, because back then, like you said, you don't know how to deal with it, and I did the same thing. Just push it down, push it down, push it down until it becomes too much.
Yeah.
So, what? So you were saying when you were younger, you didn't really have people to talk to. Do you think that is why do you think that? I'm just curious.
Just the lack of availability and understanding. Like now I can, like when I talk to my wife, who's been a nurse for 20 plus years, there's some understanding. There's some, what's the word? Empathy with it, because granted, she may not have, she's not out there in the field seeing people that have blown their heads off or got their head split open. And I use these super graphic terms, so you might want to explicit nature, via discretion advised.
Oh, I always put it on
there. Not to take away from the things that she has seen in the ER.
Yes.
And in her career.
It's similar. I know. Yeah.
But there's some empathy in that, because there's some similarities in that. There's those crossings of our past, because of the fact that, maybe some of those bad things that I've seen, we've taken into the hospital. So she's, and I can't think of the actual term I'm looking for. It's, but it's, there's some she can relate to it. And relate to some of the things, she's had in her time as a nurse. She's seen some pretty crappy, horrible things, and that I can empathize with, but thankfully I haven't really had, and I've had some things that she can empathize with that she's may not have seen,
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the things that we've both seen that are similar. They may not be exact, but they're still, still the same.
Okay.
So, but, and so that's been a real, blessing, and so that's the biggest difference is I have someone who can empathize and sympathize versus someone who has no knowledge of what we do and no knowledge of how, what we go through on a daily basis and the things that we have to deal with, not just on calls, but, back at the station and dealing with all of that stupid stuff. Because not, station life can be just as dumb as home life.
Yep.
So
yes, that's a whole nother topic and show, maybe.
Oh, I'm sure you can do at least an hour on that.
At least we could probably do a few hours on that one.
We can go live from the station.
Oh boy. Oh, I lost you.
Nope, I'm back. Sorry.
No, that's all right. All right. So what? So my other question is, why do you think us as firefighters, we tend to focus and help others more so than we do ourselves?
One, that's our nature. It's just it's just somehow encoded into us. And I feel it's just how we're wired. And maybe we're not the smartest people in the room, because other people are running away from something that we're running towards. But and as far as why we're eager to help others before helping ourselves, because we absolutely 100% refuse to show vulnerability and weakness, because we cannot be weak as firefighters. It just doesn't work. It's just two things in our brain that don't go together. Because if you have a weak firefighter, guess what? They're not going to be able to help you. And that's how our minds think it. Look at it.
Okay.
At least that's my opinion.
No, that's
and
fine.
It's because when we look at what a stereotypical firefighter is, or what people think of a stereotypical firefighter, it's the guys on the calendar with the 12-pack abs and, you know, oiled up and yeah, right. And that, sure, there are guys out there that are like that, but that's not the majority of us. The majority of us are, you know, dad bods, maybe a little bit overweight. You know, we're strong, but we're not calendar material. But people look at the calendars and that's what they think. That's what they think a firefighter should be. But we don't all meet that. But if we show it's showing that we're vulnerable and that there's something bothering us, shows weakness on our part, and people don't like. They're like, oh, well, you can't. Why are you doing your job? You're weak. You can't. You shouldn't be a firefighter. And that was, like I said, 20 years ago. That was the mindset.
Yeah.
You know, I had a conversation with an ex-coworker on a standby, and it was like, I'm like, if you get to the point where something bothers you so bad that you have to talk to somebody, it's time for you to walk away. Because that was seriously the mindset. Now we've come to learn that that's not the correct answer. The correct answer is, hey, go see somebody, talk to somebody, be it a professional, be it a friend, be it a family member, a coworker, somebody. But because that's the biggest thing, is talking about it. And once we can get over that stigma, I think our lives in the fire service will definitely change for the better.
I agree.
And we can get out of our own ways from time to time.
Yeah.
But it's got to be, it can't be just a superficial change. It's got to be a systemic change. It's got to start. Yeah. It starts superficial, but it's got to go deeper. It's got to get to, you know, to management or administration, whatever your department or the other departments want to call it. We call it management at ours, as you know, because we work together. And, you know, if we can get the officers on board above, you know, I think then you have a systemic change for the good. But it's got to be more than just being able to talk to somebody. We have to have outlets, like, you know, for a lot of us, it's working out or doing some outside extracurricular activity. You know, like for you and I, it started out as CrossFit and working out and things like that. And now that's still part of ours. But for me now, my outlet too is also I'm back to playing hockey. And you know, I would love to be able to play every game that we have, but
adult life.
We had that adult life. It's adult life, but it also, and I think if we can get that type of culture changed within our department, and I use our department, you know, as an example, systemically. Hey, bro, get off. Sorry, my dog's getting on my bed. All right, it's great. Then maybe those things can change and people are willing to help each other out more.
Yeah, I agree. And it's
and I'm not trying to call out our department on its own. I'm just saying it. Like I said, I use our department as in general.
That's what we know. And we know, you know, we know how our department is and can't really speak for another department. We don't know how, and every department has their issues that they need to work on. There isn't one department that's all perfect, and so it's all right. But yeah, I agree. You know, those little steps forward. That's what I was telling somebody the other day. You know, take the little steps forward, and then sometimes it feels like I'm taking, you know, 10 steps back, but then the next day keep going forward a little bit, and keep pushing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, you know. And just keep going forward. Try to be the best version of yourself. Try not to be a total a-hole to people. Like I try not to be. Everybody calls me super nice, and I can be, but I try not to be. And you know, and change is always. I think you guys were talking a couple of podcasts ago about change, and change is scary, but change is necessary. You can't evolve, you can't progress, you can't go anywhere without change. If you don't change and you're stagnant, then and you're not willing to change, then you can't bitch about things not getting better.
Correct.
Because you're being part of the problem, not part of the solution. So
sounds good to me.
You just gotta fight for what you want, and even though that fight can be exhausting, you still got to be able to. It may take a while, and you may have to take steps back, like you said. But if you want change, you got to fight for it.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that's about it.
Right.
I mean, did that answer your questions? And
Yep.
Are we going to redo this on Friday?
Nope. This is it, buddy. One take.
Oh, one take. All right.
That's it. All right.
So.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Anytime.